Today we are revisiting this dining room makeover because last time that we were doing this, I told you that Holly wanted to paint it white, so I was going to switch it up, and that is what we are doing today. I personally believe the thing that made the biggest difference, minus the paint change, is taking out that pony wall to make it feel a little bit larger and not so sectioned off and, oh, here's a dining room, oh, here's a living room. To patch up where this pony wall was, I added some shims after cutting down the edges to be a little bit more straight with my multi-tool. That way the drywall piece was actually flush to the piece that was already existing. You then go over with this mesh tape and start to use joint compound and let that dry, but you will see that I will stop and not show you the finish because I need to borrow my dad's texturing machine, and the texture gun is just kind of intense, and I'm excited to show you in another video, but I'm gonna revisit the texturing thing because it's really not the biggest deal right now. It's gonna be covered by a couple of things anyways, and truth be told, I need to kind of sit down and learn how to use the texture gun in order to show you. After patching that pony hole up, I decided to paint the green all white per Holly's request because she's got a design in her brain. Okay, now we let that dry. I'm a mess. I am a mess. Let that dry, finish my facial, office, come back, apply the second coat. Multitasking, people. After that was done drying, I thought I needed to move the benches out to work on them, but that was false information. I just had to come in with my hammer and remove that one by one that was on the back of only one bench. That has been bothering me since we put these here. Holly said it didn't bother her, but I wanted it to look very flush if there weren't any pillows on it. I started to place things back together, and I used a straight edge razor, which you guys don't typically see me do here, but a lot of you come after me like, she left the paint on the floor. No, I go back in with my straight edge razor and I just take it right off if there's any splatters or spills that got on there. I was a little bit concerned when I was moving everything in and being like, how in the world am I going to bring color and life to these white walls? Fun fact, I figured it out. But the reason that we switched these to white is because she wanted to add a DIY bar cabinet near the dining room to cap off the end of that bench. And because we painted it green, this double duty color, we didn't want to have a light green cabinet on a dark green wall. It would just been a lot of green. As far as painting cabinets go, you want to make sure, like I've said before, you get the correct nap. I'm using a foam roller literally because it is the sleekest that you can be painting on. Also, I am using a flat finish per Holly's request. You can go ahead and use any other kind of finish you want. I don't recommend flat on cabinets. Semi-gloss or more of like a satin is going to be able to be cleaned a little bit more easy. So just a little tip for you there. This originally was meant to be a top cabinet, like above your head type of situation, but we're just going to DIY a base and turn it into a bottom. After that cabinet was painted and dry, I brought it in and I cut down a equal strip of width of plywood that I had on hand to raise it up to be the level of the other cabinets that are on the right hand side with the kitchen makeover we did previously. I am spacing it away from the wall because Holly has this idea to use this as a storage, like keep all. We can throw our bags there, you won't be able to see it, and there won't be messes on the counter. How we are determining that spacing from the wall is just pulling it out as much as it needed to be flush to the other cabinets on the ground, because these ones, the ones that I'm using here, is a top cabinet, so it's much narrower. That's the only difference that is here. It normally would reach the back of the wall, but again, because we're using a top as a bottom and DIYing it, that's what we got. I used my nail gun, wood glue, and rapid fuse to tack it into place, and I also spaced it back about 3 inches just to match, again, the cabinets that are on the bottom right hand side, so it all looks very cohesive. I flipped it back up on the right side, bottom side, what would that be? With the top up, and I decided to do the same thing and purchase a butcher block and cut it down to be not only the bar top here, but also create a couple of shelves to continue that natural wood butcher block drawing over from the right hand side now into the left. I added a piece of 1x2 white PVC framing that I had on hand just to like be the counterbalance to the back end, since we're not putting this flush against the bottom of a cabinet all the way across. It needed some support.
Chic.
If you just want to measure where the top of the handle, like the first hole for this handle, and then we can drill those, and I think that's it. Because we pushed that cabinet out to match the ones on the right hand side, there's that space towards the bottom. That is where I had Lindsay cut down a piece of scrap plywood that I had on hand, and I'm just putting it directly on top to create a shelf, and then you'll see something else I'm doing to create more storage as well. As I am wrapping up this bar top, I do want to take a quick second to thank today's sponsor and tell you a little bit more about Thrive, who actually helped us create the right-hand new kitchen moment that you'll see in this video. When I first started working with Thrive and I mentioned it to Holly, she honestly gushed. She loves going on and being able to order basically anything she needs coming to her house directly, and I genuinely didn't know about them prior to my last time working with them, and I am completely hooked. Thrive Market is an online membership-based market on a mission to make healthy living easy and affordable for everyone. You can enjoy member-only prices where members save an average of $32 on every single order, and they are 100% committed to never engaging in surge pricing. They promise that at Thrive Market, you'll find the same member-only savings no matter what. You can buy thousands of wholesome food, home, and beauty products, even items for your furry friends at home, just for members. You can shop healthy without the hassle, and you can choose from 70+ diets and values like keto, paleo, gluten-free, vegan, non-GMO. I mean, you name it, they got it. Orders $49 or more are shipped free, and they are delivered with carbon neutral shipping from their zero waste warehouses, which I know a lot of you guys love since you always call me out on the packaging. If you guys are looking to sign up, I have linked it down below for you, and you can also choose a free gift up to $24 value when you join today. I have put the gifts up on the screen so you can see them. I've also left all the information down below. Thank you so much to Thrive for sponsoring today's episode. When I was just racking my brain on what to do for the left-hand side, not that I didn't love your guys' feedback, but I'm so over the macrame, and I wanted to do something a little bit more funky and fresh, which led me to pulling out another copper DIY. Since I needed to go measure and cut things specifically, and I had Miss Woodbrain here to help me, my best friend in all the land, she decided to take on the design based off of the photo that I showed her on Pinterest that I found. I've also linked the original Pinterest post down below because it goes to an Etsy link that is $225, and we don't have time for that. We can make that for far less.
I can, but Callie's like staring at me. It was so cute.
I always feel like somebody's watching me.
One thing I love about copper DIYs is genuinely, if you have a photo, it is very easy to tell how to kind of break the DIY apart and do it yourself. I have linked every single part down below, the measurements per each triangle shelf. So instead of going into the lengthy detail on here, because we've done 1,000,001 copper DIYs, I have broken it down for you so you can like copy and paste it and have it readily available on hand.
That one was a little bit shy. All right, it's assembly time.
How Lindsay is breaking down the copper pipe is actually per each triangle shelf. If you look at it, you need 4 long sides of it. So I had her cut down long pieces of pipe to make sure all 8, because we're doing 2 shelves, are equal, and then we're going to decide where the T's go from there and cut those pipes where is necessary to create the T that will then connect to the other side to create the shelf. Something I would say to pay attention to is where you want your shelf. If you want them equal on each, you want to put them in the exact same place. But if you're flipping it like I did here, we basically did it wrong because we created 2 open V's with the same shelf when they're both pointing up. But then when we did the flip flop, one just had a really awkward low shelf and we couldn't put a higher shelf on it because it would be on top of the V. It was a mess.
Oh my goodness, this is so sick. And then we just support it with the wood will definitely give it the piece across, and then
support it
with those little these guys.
Yeah,
right?
you know which ones I'm talking about. Hell yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Yep.
Well, here's you're gonna see one more in a sec, and then you'll.
You're like
Well, no, I'm like, you don't necessarily have to use it. You can put it on the wall.
Depending on the width or the depth of the copper pipe you put in between the two longer V's to create the depth of the shelf, that's what you're going to cut your wood down to. Mine was roughly 3.5 inches, so it was on the skinnier side of things, but that's because this didn't need to hold a bunch of items. It's more so to give a pop of color to this wall and hold a couple of items that can give a lot of texture and some more depth to the space. Did you get a new one?
Don't kill my vibe.
Did you get another one?
Yeah, do you need a beverage?
Yeah. What?
I didn't know where you were at.
Requirement number 1 heading into 2022. Ew, God. 2021, not 2022. Again, all of the parts are listed down below for you and linked, might I add, but we just found studs to hang these directly into, so that way I didn't have to worry about the weight I'm putting onto the shelves.
Is this high enough, not too low enough for when somebody sits in this little spot?
Yeah, if my bun doesn't smack it.
No, it doesn't. I don't think it smacks it. No, it doesn't. No,
Yeah, you're fine. Maybe a little bit more to the right or left.
Lindsay and I kind of divided and conquered, which I'm very excited to have her around more because I do need a second pair of hands.
Oh, always do that. When I'm hanging a bracket, the drill skips.
I was originally going to do these copper brackets where I'm putting these black brackets, but when Lindsay and I stepped back, it just would look like we were separating the space versus making it kind of flow into each other and have a pop of copper on the left-hand side wall versus trying to create the shelves to be something completely different and throw off the design. I wanted it to blend, so that's the decision we went with. I decided to mix wood tones because personally, Holly and I are huge fans. I think it is sexy and chic, not only to mix wood tones, but to mix metals where you can when it doesn't look too much, which you will see later when I add some details.
Story of my life. How? I cut these all the same size and this one's too big? There's no way. I'm gonna make you fit. There's no way.
Here's the bracket. I need to bend it.
It has been so much fun bringing Holly's visions consistently to life. You guys keep asking me who she is. Do your research, people. Go back to the shed video and see us from the very beginning of this chapter of me moving in with her and why I am here. I execute these DIYs per her taste, per her style, because it's her home. Fun fact, the reason Holly's inspirations are the greens and everything that you see is because she loves nature. And one thing she tells me about nature is it's easily adaptable. So we could take all this decor out, switch up the pops of color and make it something completely different. But she kind of likes to keep it with what you see in nature. So you see a lot of the wood tones and the copper tones throughout, pulling that warmth. I mentioned before that I was going to add some extra storage, and I just put some command hooks on the back of this cabinet to create a moment for our purses because we are throwing them everywhere but where they need to be, out of mind, out of sight, and making things look nice and clean.
Please don't talk about me when I'm gone. Oh, honey, though our friendship ceases from now on.
For the final details, I have linked everything and listed what I can in the description box for you. But again, I'm just adding very subtle greens, a little bit of orange, not too much orange, and then keeping it a wood theme on top of the table again to just keep it more on the calmer side of things. I would be lying if I said painting this white didn't terrify me a little bit, but now it just makes sense. It was a challenge to be able to grab a pop of color, throw it on that left-hand side wall, but also make it look cohesive and not overwhelming. I always feel like that is a theme here throughout my channel, even though I do get some of you being like, there's way too much stuff, like in my bedroom. Remember, you don't live here. Do it according to your personal taste and execute it to what you like to see when you walk around your space. And for everybody coming for my plants in my bathroom, do not worry, I have been moving them around to find them the perfect home. I am beyond pumped with how this turned out. I also think it was way more fun having my best friend help me, which I can't wait for more of that. Thank you so much once again to Thrive for sponsoring today's episode. I have linked everything you need for them down below, as well as the decor, inspiration, and any other DIYs I implemented into this space. I will see you guys very soon for another DIY.